Hi everyone, my name is Shawnna Deresch and I'm a writer of horror and dark fiction. Today I'm going to read to you from my short story, Little Sally Ann, which is going to appear in Candisha Press, Women of Horror Anthology, Volume 3, set to be out in February 2021. Little Sally Ann is a story about a little girl who so desperately wants a mommy, and she'll do anything to keep one. The door swung open, and Janice stood there carrying a box of nails. "Here, let me get that for you." Carl took the box from Janice and laid it on the floor. "Thanks." He was being extra nice. She hoped it was because he really was trying to work on their marriage, and not because he was hiding something like he was before. Janice sat down on the couch. She sniffed the air. "Do you smell that?" "The only thing I can smell in this house is that stench. Did you remember to call the exterminator this morning?" Janice sniffed the air again. No, it wasn't that smell. She remembered that perfume. Smell from the nights Carl would come home late and shove his clothes into the washer. Or he would come to bed after showering some night still reeking of her. Her long-lasting scent permeated her bedroom and now in her living room. It made her want to vomit. Hormones. It had to be her hormones acting up because he promised he wouldn't contact her ever again. She watched Carl wipe the sweat off his forehead and fidget with his collar. "Do you want something to eat or drink?" he asked, passing by her to get his jacket near the front door. She was here, she wanted to scream at him. Call him a bastard for lying to her. He never wanted a second chance. Instead, she asked, "Who texted you at 2 a.m? He couldn't get out of answering that. That familiar deer-in-the-headlights look, just like when she had discovered a pair of size 5 panties under their bed and thrown them at him. She had screamed that she wore size 7. His face was frozen in shock. He stuttered. He always stuttered when he was lying. It was Andy from work. He wanted to let me know he was in the emergency room last night and wouldn't be available for our Zoom meeting today." "Really? What happened?" Janice played along. "Are you sure you're not hiding something?" Carl twisted his jacket in his hand, and Janice stood combatively in front of him. She wanted the truth, and she wanted it now. Like a bear cornered, Carl roared, "I should ask you that, Janice. Are you hiding anything from me?" Caught off guard, Janice took a step back and sat on the couch. How did he find out? "I know you're pregnant, so who's keeping secrets?" Carl turned away before Janice could answer and slammed the front door behind him. Sally Ann stood at the top of the stairs listening to Carl and Janice fighting downstairs. Her lower lip quivered and tears fell from her eyes. "Mommy is going to have a baby?" "No, she can't. She has me." Sally Ann threw her baby down on the ground. She couldn't let this happen. She sat down on the top step and looked through the spindles, watching Janice cry. "It's okay, Mommy. I'll take care of you. I'll take care of everything." Janice cried into a pillow. Nothing was going the way she planned. "He'll be back," she reassured herself. "He wouldn't leave us." She shifted her weight from side to side. She was sitting on something. She pulled it out from underneath her, a perfume bottle. It's hers. She knew she wasn't going crazy when she smelled Allison's perfume before Carl accused her of hiding something. He lied to her about contacting Allison. She held the bottle up to her nose and gagged. That smell made her want to vomit. "I see you found my perfume, the one Carl bought me." Janice dropped the bottle and looked up to see Allison standing in her living room with her coat slightly open, revealing she wasn't wearing any clothing. Allison bent over to pick up the bottle and then spritzed herself with the perfume. "Carl likes this on me." "What are you doing in my house? Get out before I call the police." Janice screamed at the woman who didn't move from her spot. She hated this woman for coming back into their lives, but she thought maybe she never left. "I'm here to see Carl." "My husband, you mean?" Janice corrected her. "For now." "Then I'm sure he told you we're pregnant." Allison side-eyed Janice as if she didn't believe her, but instinctively looked down at her belly. Janice pulled up her shirt taut against her body to show her tiny bulge at her stomach. With her other hand, she rubbed her belly. "He told me that you had one too many abortions while in college, so he didn't think you'd ever be able to carry a child full term." Janice smacked Allison hard across the face. She wondered what else her husband had divulged to his mistress. "Get out of my house." Allison rubbed her cheek. She smiled at Janice and walked to the back door. Sally Ann stood in front of the back door, blocking Allison from leaving. She didn't like this woman. Who or what are you? Allison's eyes widened in horror as Sally Ann's skin on her face melted off like candle wax puddling on the floor in front of her. Allison stepped over it to get to the door, but the puddle followed her. The basement door flew open and Allison sidestepped the puddle. She stepped on the landing leading to the basement. Little Sally Ann yanked a handful of her hair and threw it at Allison, causing her to tumble down the stairs. She landed on several other bodies splayed out in all directions on the basement floor. Now stay down there with the other bad mommy, Sally Ann giggled. Janice couldn't believe that woman had the nerve to come to her house. She wrung out the washcloths and placed it on the back of her neck. She was getting a migraine. She had never had a migraine before, but she blamed it on her hormones and Allison's perfume. And that smell. That rotting stench Carl had been complaining about was starting to get to her too. Janice walked out of the upstairs bathroom heading for the staircase. She wanted to lay down on the couch and wait for Carl to come back. If he came back, that is. They needed to talk. Janice looked up to see a child near the staircase. She blinked to make sure she was seeing what she was seeing. A little girl with black curly hair smiling at her. How did a child get in this house? She called to her. Honey, who are you? Is your mommy with you? Sally Ann reached out to Janice. You're my mommy. No, honey, I'm not. We need to find your mommy. She took Sally Ann's hand and led her to the staircase. She wondered if she was a neighborhood child who had wandered off. Someone had to be looking for her. Sally Ann pulled Janice back toward her room at the end of the hall. My room. Oh, sweetie, no, this isn't your home. Let's go find your mommy. Janice led her back to the staircase, but Sally Ann wouldn't go. Sally Ann's lower lip trembled and tears streamed down her face. Janice tried to hug her, but Sally Ann pulled away. Janice wondered if she would have the patience to deal with her own child since she was having trouble wrangling this one to do what she wanted. She needed to let the child know that she was the boss. She leaned over to pick up the girl, but Sally Ann wiggled free. No, Sally Ann turned her back on Janice. Honey, we need to find your mommy. No, no, no. Sally Ann stopped toward her room at the end of the hall and picked up her doll. She turned back to Janice and flung her doll at her, hitting her in the head. Janice lost her footing and fell backwards. Janice lay at the bottom of the stairs, not sure what had happened. Her whole body ached. She called for Carl, but she remembered he ran out of the house. Probably going to meet up with his whore. But she didn't have time to think about that. She needed to save her baby. Her lower back throbbed and pains were coming in waves in her belly. Hold on, little one. Please be all right. Please be okay. She repeated over and over. She could see her phone on the couch. If she could just get to it and call 911, everything would be okay. Janice dragged herself up onto her side, resting on her elbow for a moment. She took a deep breath and scooted herself over to the couch. She felt a gush come out of her and reached down her pants, fearing what she already knew. She pulled up her hand out of her pants. Blood smeared on her fingers. Janice wailed. If you want to know what happens to Sally Ann, please pick up a copy of Women in Horror Anthology, Volume 3. Jill Girardi has collected amazing stories from women horror writers from all over the world. Some of the writers you'll be familiar with, and others will be newer, like myself. So please pick up a copy of Women of Horror Anthology, Volume 3, available February 2021, just in time for Women in Horror Month. Thank you again for listening. Talk to you soon. Bye now.